At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Here's the thing about Germany, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it.
Observations TFR 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday. Hashtag observations TFR. Freakin Friday, episode 96. Brought to my attention by my co-host, my sister Tanya. We are 4 shows away from the 100th episode. Can you believe it? The 100th episode. We have been moving and grooving and doing what we do. What's going on with Stu? He said the first one to comment. Good morning to you as well. Welcome to Freakin Friday. What's the topic for today? Extending grace. Episode 96. What does extending grace mean? Let's go through what the topic is today. How do you extend grace? Is it possible that first you have to walk a mile or 2 in another's shoes? The phone lines are open, 213-943-3358. The uncomfortable conversation to be had with those who were born before you, who continued to drop the ball up and through November 4th, 2020. Did they extend grace to Generation X, or did they look to destroy what they never really wanted to understand? The suits and dress shoes to the wayside, exchanged for casual sportswear? How is what's happening this week tie into the past and the present into the future? Due to time keeps on slipping into the future. What we do now determines that future now. Let's discuss. That's the topic for today. So smash the share button, smash the like button. We want to say what's up to everyone watching us on Vimeo, on FB, and on the Film Review Live channel, and You Found the Spot channels on YouTube. We appreciate you. And so, without further ado, let's get started with some memes. You know how we do on Friday, right? Let's go right here. Let's start right here. This one was an interesting meme, and I thought it kind of summed up what we talked about during the week. You getting that experimental agent? Me. And the person with the needle in the hand. And that's Michael Jordan. And everyone knows that when Michael Jordan does that move, he is avoiding the defender. And he's getting ready to go do some kind of amazing high-flying acrobatic feet before he slams the ball home on the reverse side of the rim, or breaks the knees of 4 different defenders as he does his jukes with the ball between his legs. So the answer to the question is, it appears not. That's right. It appears not. That's right. Smash the share button, smash the like button. We are going someplace on Friday today. Okay, here we go. Check this one out. This one came in early yesterday morning, right? Well, it's saying 1 hour ago, but that's when I took the picture of it, but that's misleading. An arthritis drug appears to help reduce the risk of death in hospitalized patients with COVID-19. New research shows. You see, nothing is the science is not concluded on what we're looking at as far as this COVID-19, right? This was an interesting meme. It was short and sweet. Energy is felt once the cards are dealt. Energy is felt once the cards are dealt. This is true. This is all the way 100% true. Now, this guy right here, let's bring him up. This guy right here, your boy, you voted for him, your boy. Mr. Magoo is here for you. Have you been watching the news? Back in 2019, Biden was on the campaign trail, and he said that China is gonna eat our lunch. Come on, man. He spent 2 hours on the phone with the Grand Leader. I'm just gonna call him the Grand Leader because they are the People's Republic of Communist China. He stayed on the phone for him with 2 hours. Now remember, he signed this executive order to reverse what Donald Trump was doing with them. And he says, after having a meeting with him on the phone for 2 hours, he said, if we need to step it up because China's going to eat our lunch. Now, for all of those who, we were talking on the show all last year about how China is a problem. Matter of fact, everything that you get, when you look at the bottom of it, is made in China. It used to be made in Taiwan. Now, everything is made in China, especially when you go to Walmart. So you're looking at corporations' best interest instead of your own best interest. Of course, for Walmart, right? Of course, for Walmart, they would want a good relationship with China because they're getting everything at a low rate, and so thus they can sell it low to you. So of course, they're getting everything at a low rate, and so they would want to have a good relationship with China. But us, as people who produce intellectual property, people who don't want to see another nation stronger than the United States, we who are American black don't subscribe to that. Now you have to determine who you are. You have to determine who you are as a person as you chose to vote for Mr. Magoo is here for you. As you chose to vote for Mr. Magoo is here for you, he doesn't know what he's doing. Did you hear that the border, did you hear that? Let me bring this down so that you can see me now. Everybody see Mr. Magoo. Here's Mr. Magoo for you. Okay. Bring myself up here. Okay. Did you hear that they are letting women with a child or children pass over the border? This has been 300 of these people crossing into the border, 300 people a day. They check them, they get their names, they don't check them if they have COVID or not. This is who you voted for, as he reversed what Trump was doing that had us pretty secure. He's also reversed in the executive orders figuring out what's happening in the Islamic countries, which means that the door has been opened again for potential bombings by people who say kill great white Satan. Well, I'm an American black, and I wouldn't want to be collateral damage in the middle of that. How about you? I mean, when you're really thinking about it, would you like to be collateral damage? 300 people a day across the border, they're assigned a date to come to court. They can show up or they won't show up, and even if they don't show up, they won't be deported. People who have been rapists do not have to be deported. They're turned loose. If they're not prosecuted in the courts, they're turned loose. If they're not prosecuted in American courts, before they were held and automatically ICE would deport them. Now, under this brainiac, now, if they're not prosecuted in American courts, they're set free. Amnesty, the amnesty cities are going to be coming back. And these people are going to be walking around again free. Now, I'm going to say these people because last time I knew I'm an American black. I am a citizen of the United States of America, and I am not equating myself with a fucking immigrant or a fucking migrant or a fucking refugee. I'm none of those, so why would I have a bleeding heart for any of those? Now, let's keep going. This meme right here, oh, we're going to be coming back to Mr. Magoo for you. Don't worry about it. We're going to be coming back to him. Don't worry. But this meme right here, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Picture's worth 1,000 words. Video is worth 1,000,000 words, right? This one is very interesting. Yep, millions of jobs will be lost. Department of Resources redistribution. Now, it says fight for $15 an hour. What do you see, Tanya, at the bottom half of the picture? What do you see?
Is that a pew in a church?
No, that is an automated chef hand with a spatula flipping burgers over a hot griddle.
Oh, okay.
It is an automated arm flipping burgers at a restaurant in front of a hot griddle. Now, why would they want to pay you $15 an hour minimum wage when those are supposed to be beginner jobs? They're supposed to be beginning jobs for children, right? That's really what they're for. They're supposed to be for children. The adults are supposed to have moved themselves into a different situation. Now, let me close this. When I was a front-end tech at Finest, now defunct in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if it's still around. When I was a front-end tech, right? When I was a front-end tech, basically a bagger, and I would collect the carts, we had very few older people. I could count on my hand. Of course, they had the older people in the office that were counting the money from the register. I guess they didn't believe in younger people. There was one younger person in the office that they had, a young black girl that they had trained up, and I guess she was going to move on throughout the company. But I could count the number of older people we had. Of course, the managers were older, so the manager, assistant manager, night manager, all that, they were older, and they had worked themselves up into positions into the company, all Caucasian. You know what that is. But we had an 880 union, and when you were in the union, you could get raises. You had health care, dental, eyeglass, the insurance that you need, and you could work your way up into the company. But I remember there were very few people that were on the front registers that were over 16 years old. front end techs and the register operators, very few that were over 16 years old. The only people who stayed were the people who didn't want to, their seniority would have put them into different positions, which would have put them over different departments within the store. And those are the only older people who chose to run the register, even though they had seniority. They liked dealing with the interaction with the people. But for the most part, it was young people, front end tech, and cashiers, right? Nowadays, the young people cannot find jobs because I guess the older generations that came, you can say some of the selfish generation, that little generation that came in between Generation X, but no, it's generations after. It's Generation X. It's people within Generation X. I have to tell the truth. The people that came the generation before that thought that it was forever. You never know how many people that I came in contact with or I come in contact with over the years that don't realize that it is not forever. Good morning to Miss Ash. I see that you're on watching. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone that's watching us on YouTube. Good morning to you as well. Listen, it's people who realize that it's not forever. That window of being young only lasts for a very little while. I used to tell people like this as the young people would come in the store. I said, remember when you were 9 years old? I say, those 11 years turn and you turn 20. Remember when you were 19 years old? Those 11 years turn and you're 30. Remember when you were 29 years old and those 11 years turn and you're 40. Remember when you were 39 years old and those 11 years turn and you just got to AARP candidacy because you turned 50 and you're about 5 years away from applying to AARP. That this is not forever, you see. And so the older people should have gotten a vocation where they would have been making $45 an hour, or they should have gotten some kind of degree, associate's degree, so that they would be in management and not be taking the jobs from the youth, and we wouldn't be talking about people needing to live on, needing a higher wage than $7.25 an hour, right? I remember when we came in, I started at $2, and I think it was $2.45 an hour. And then as you went along, you got raises, right? By the time I finished, before I went off to college, I was at $5.75 an hour, right? Minimum wage was only $2 and some cents when we were there, so it's $7.25. It's been stagnant, arguably, because so many people are joining these boards. And the boards, they make $150,000 a year for being on a board. They make $250,000, $350,000, $550,000 for being a board member on a board, which they're really doing nothing but voting on things. Oh, we're not gonna increase the minimum wage in our particular business model, because if we do that, then we're gonna have to cut money from, or cut a couple of board members, and you don't want that to happen. Job security. But So people have to become responsible. The young people now, it's gonna have to start with this generation now. I don't know what they're calling it, right? Because they said the millennials are now damn near 40, right? But I thought millennials were my nephew's age who were born in the millennia, right? Around 2000. But I'm gonna talk as if that's what it is, that 2000, the 2000s are the millennials. The millennials have to be about it. It has to start with this generation here and move forward. You have to be ready to do your minimum wage work, but be getting a apprentice status so that you can get a trade that will make you a nice amount of money, get black people back into working with their hands again, and then the natural abilities that we once had will pop back in. Or you have to make sure that you have some kind of degree that will propel you into having positions where you go into management and you are not taking jobs from the youth. I know this is a hard pill to swallow because people are like, why are you talking? I need my job. Well, look, your job's not going to be there because they're going to get a burger flipper. All they need is an IT guy to come in and fix it from a laptop. If it malfunctions, it doesn't talk back. It's never late. All they have to do is clean it and it's ready to go. You've seen McDonald's, right? You see how now they have the people order, and then they haven't set up the automated machines yet. But the automated machines are coming while people are talking about $15 an hour. What are you going to do? They are talking about automated machines to work in Walmart now, talking about filling orders over the internet. But what I noticed is when you go to the internet site, they don't have what you want in the store. If you go to the Walmart internet site, they don't have what they have on the internet site. So they are doing this. These robots are coming in to be stalkers, cutting jobs. They're already getting ready to eliminate the front end cashiers and go, you do it yourself. Check out yourself. What are we doing here? That would have been good before the IT age came in. We're in the IT age now, right? We're beyond the computer age. We're in the IT age. Everything can be done from a click of a mouse. Type in a code of zeros and ones, and everything can be done. Maybe 10, 15 years ago when they hadn't got the science down, that would have worked. But now we're here, and this is why, oh boy, Mr. Magoo for you. Mr. Magoo, listen. Your decision, I know you're not going to like this. I know you're not going to like it. But your decision to vote for Mr. Magoo for you is going to have you looking like this in the long run. Or the short run, right? You're gonna be looking like this. It's gonna be a total state of aggravation. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I voted for Mr. Magoo, and not to mention that his vice president doesn't know the difference between a landmine and coal mine. They've had her quiet lately. No, wait, they didn't have her quiet. Did you see her talking to the black business consuls, right? From all around the world, right? The black chambers of commerce, right? They were talking to them from all over. They were talking to them in Atlanta. She gets up there and she's talking. So when she gets to Atlanta, the guy asks her something about numbers and figures, right? Let me bring this down so that you can see, because you're going to be in this discontent, because They're getting ready to put a whipping on you. Let me bring this down. Remember now, that automated arm is coming. I want you to know, under Mr. Magoo, that automated arm is coming, which is going to have you over here looking like the angry mountain lion. Okay, look. She was trying to do that nigga babble now. She was trying to do that nigga babble. And she said, oh yes, I got a chance to meet the two candidates who made it 50-50 in the Senate, who won, who are Democrats. She went through all that. He asked her a question about economics, about the black council, about how that's going to help, how this whole proposal is going to help. Then the other woman, the yelling woman, steps in, and then she starts talking, actually answers the guy's question. Then she says, oh, yes. They tell me, I hear it from little birdies chirping. I hear from little birdies chirping that one of them degrees is honorary.
Oh, yes.
One of those degrees are honorary, and that means that she is not bright as a bag of rocks. And even rocks, when you take geography class, the rocks know how to move. She doesn't even know how to move. So you're going to have this disgruntled look on your face. Say, how did I fall for the okie doke? Because they're going to bring this automated arm. They are already doing it. We have warned you on shows last year about the robots. 2 years ago on hashtag TFR Podcast Live, how are you going to outdo something that doesn't have a soul? Doesn't get tired. All it takes is IT. So you have to know the IT game. You have to know the zeros and the ones. You have to take those classes to have that ability to know how to do that. We are not in the age anymore of that. The only thing that they can't do with robots yet is have them in construction yet. Laying the bricks, they haven't quite wrote the code that works yet, so there is still time for people to make a good living in that. Right? Pipe fitting. Plenty enough time for people to still make a good living in that, because they haven't found out how to do that, how to make the robots work correctly in that type of business. But no worries, because it's coming. Don't worry about it. It is coming. But we want you to know, right now you have some time. You have time, all right? So let's keep moving here. Let's keep moving. Just a side note on music. Just want to let you know that Devin the Dude has his new album out called Soulful Distance. Devin the Dude has his new album out called Soulful Distance. His new long play. It is as great as the first two. It is up there with the first two. There's a lot of grooves on there, like where they had instrumentation, where they had the guitar player come in, and they had the bass player come in. And it's really nice, and it has some elements of Parliament Funkadelic in it, stripped down though, which makes it really good. You have to discover where he's getting it from, but it's beautifully done. And here we go, people. Here we go. We only live once. This is the negative mindset. Remember, we always talk about mind state, right? That you move things with your mind state. So this meme is kind of wrong, because the positive mind, it should say positive mind state instead of positive mindset. But it said we only live once. Wrong on the positive mind state. We only die once. We live every day. Negative mindset. We only live once. Positive mind state. Wrong. We only die once. We live every day. But of course, the coward dies 1,000 deaths. The brave man only dies once. Now, here we go. This right here, this person sent in their picture wearing the t-shirt. Tanya, tell the people who this person is.
That is my friend and sister, Monet Glaude. Her name is hyphenated. Hold on, I need to bring it up. I want to say it right.
Yeah, say it right, please, because I have an observation about the photo. So it's very important.
All right. Let me bring up Miss Monet.
People who actually purchase the t-shirt, they're starting
Monet Ledbetter Glaude.
That's right. Now,
Monet Ledbetter Glaude. Monet is, she and I attended Berkeley together. We also wrote a couple of songs together. Myself, and Deanna Beavers wrote songs together. They were nice songs, and she has a whole children's books and children's songs, children's music. She has a school, so she's doing her thing up in Boston, Massachusetts.
So what I want to say about the photo is, if you notice, people, what do you notice about the photo, Tanya? Let's see if you catch it.
It's very colorful. Like I like the way her hair is blending in. It's a yellow background on the wall, and then there's a tint on the overall picture. It has a reddish cast to it. I like it. I like the way that looks.
But if you look at it, it's red, black, and green with the yellow, which represents the blood that was shed, black, the rich skin, green, the land, and the sun, which kisses not only the land, but kisses our black skin, red, black, and green. Like the stoplight, like the Garrett Morgan invention. So, we just had to give you that real quick. I thought that was nice, and we had to bring that forward to let you know that our people do get out there.
Monet. Thank you.
And they purchase our t-shirts. Yes, thank you very much. Okay. So to the topic of today, talking about Freakin' Friday, extending grace. Extending grace. Extending grace is not being coonish. You understand? To extend grace, first the person has to come to the realization, the person you're going to extend grace to, they have to come to the realization that they have done something wrong. And if they keep doing what they're doing, you're not going to allow them to keep doing what they're doing, and then you extend grace to them. And this is what this video presentation is about. So let's listen to this, and then we're going to come right, because we're going to pause in between the talk. But here we go. You know that the impeachment, Donald Trump impeachment 2, is happening right now. The defense, but this happened early on, and it's such a reality check, and such something. The words that Schumer says lets you know that there is something freaky going over there in Washington. So let's listen.
Make no mistake, there will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Now, he says incited the erection instead of the insurrection. So let's go back. Let's go back again. All right, let's go back in. What is going on with Chuck Schumer and what is going on with Nancy Pelosi? Did you see Nancy Pelosi on TV? We're talking about extending grace here, right? Did you see Nancy Pelosi? She had a brief presser with the press, and they asked her about impeachment, and they know that they're not going. The Democrats do this every single time, which makes me think there's some kind of mental illness or dementia there. They think that they're going to force the Republicans to do something that the Republicans don't want to do, and they never do it. And every single time they walk away with egg and anything else that you could think of on the Democrat face, right? Nancy Pelosi sits up there. The person asked about the impeachment. She said, wait a minute, I haven't talked about impeachment for the last couple of weeks. But you're the one who brought the impeachment, and it's going on right now. You haven't talked about it too much. You done moved on, but you're the one who brought it. And you done moved on. And you got your boy Chuck Schumer in there, so discombobulated that he's saying this.
Make no mistake. There will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
Okay, now, this right here, this scene, we broke this scene down a couple of days, a few earlier in the week, we broke this scene down, but it has been an update, and we told you that we were going to be bringing an update. Now, we're talking about extending grace, right? Are you going to extend grace to people who do not admit they're wrong and they won't do it again? Are you going to do that, or are you going to just do what you feel, and then you will then be abused once again? But remember, this woman is spitting on the home health aide. Let's watch. Okay, so at first, remember I had told you that I thought she was just blowing wind, right? At first, right? But then once the woman started wiping off her shirt, I realized that she was being spat on. And then at the end, okay, those were little light honkers, if there's anything that's a little light honker. But she then does, so you can see her cheeks moving, and she's setting up for the big honker. She asked her, do you want more? She's about to throw her upper dentures at her. She asked her, does she want more? Oh! Look at this. She's wiping this off right now. At that point, Tanya, would there be any reason for you to be anything but just straight business with this woman? Would it be anything else but you just being straight business with this woman from now on? Would you be nice to her other than just doing what you had to do, change her bedpan or whatever?
If I made it out of there still having a job, that's questionable. If I made it out of there still having a job, no. It would be straight come in, good morning, and getting my work done. And that's it. We're not sitting around holding, because I'm going to tell you something about that. A lot of times, older people that were racist and stuff like that, or, well, they were racist, but they were never able to express it back then. But then they get into this old stuff, and these spirits come on them, and they get to doing stuff. That's about my limit. I have a long-standing traumatizing story about that. From when I was 3, being spat on, and that was my first fight. I didn't know nothing about no spitting. I know that it inspired me to knock her down to the floor, though. And then I got in trouble. But that right there, no, that's not going to happen. I don't think I would have made it. I don't think I would have made it back here, because I probably would have grabbed her by her wrist and escorted her into the living room or something while I was talking to her, telling her, spit on me again here. I dare you, spit on me one more time. I'm going to spit back. You spit on me, I'm going to spit back on you.
Smash the share button, smash the like button, because we have an update. We have a update. We have an update to this. Some people thought that maybe it was an old retirement home. This is a home health aid. Are you ready? We have an update.
Is that the same chick?
That's the same chick, same woman. They both have a glass of wine. She's listening to some of that whack-ass African music.
Come on.
Now I don't know what part of Africa this woman comes from, but she's listening to that whack-ass African music. Just whack, right? So let's listen to this. Oh, she's having a good time. She's singing in her native. She's singing in her native tongue. She's singing in her native tongue. Why is she simulating grinding on this woman like this woman is her man or a man standing behind her? And why is the woman acting like a man? Let's keep going. Okay. So, Tariq Nasheed, not to be outdone, he lets you know what you're looking at. And you're looking at this.
Four, three,
which then leads into there being a crash test dummy moment. Oh my God.
I think the thing is, had Mr. Kraft and Coach Belichick been wearing...
Now, I want to come back. Let me back this up a little bit now. Right? So, that's the update, right? That is the update. That is what is happening. Is that extending grace, or is that cooning?
I would consider it cooning, but what they're probably going to say is, because what happens a lot of times, those people have Alzheimer's and dementia, and when they have that Alzheimer's and dementia, they do that stuff like spitting, throwing walkers, throwing crutches, all kinds of stuff, call you a nigger, all kinds of stuff like that when they're having these episodes with dementia. But it's funny It's a funny thing about that. All of those spirits are controllable. If you look at them, I listen. I used to look at that woman I took care of right in the eye, and the stuff that she did to everybody. After she threw that walker at me that one time, she didn't throw that walker no more, because when she threw it, I threw it back. I tossed it back at her. She didn't throw it. She was feeble, so she tossed it, and I tossed it back, and her eyes got big. So I don't care if you demented or got Alzheimer's or not, you're gonna remember not this one.
Right, but you know what's funny?
That dancing and grinding is another thing that the demented do. I've heard of this. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. My friend Crystal was a home health aide. She told me about this. A woman was masturbating. She had the cover over her while she's watching TV, and she's sitting up there masturbating. And the offspring told her, the one that was paying her told her, well, we have a little problem with her. It's a little embarrassing, and you just have to ignore her. And she sits there with that perverted look on her face and be masturbating in front of people. They do all kinds of stuff when they're demented.
You know, it's funny that you're talking about demented, but when old black folks and old folks home, they say, nigger, you nigger, spitting on you. I mean, like, do they do that? The old black people do that, or they be like, oh, baby, thank you for helping me out.
They are, some of the older black people, they're more cantankerous. They don't, I mean, it's more about what they say. Like, they'll be cussing. They'll be cussing you out. That's what I've seen a lot of with the older black ones, is that they be cussing real bad.
But they're not doing no racist stuff, right? Right. And they don't, most of the time, if they have a white home health aide, they're not doing racist stuff either, right?
Right.
You see, so let's continue on here. What we're getting ready to show you now is Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is one of the most realist on television, up against, in my opinion, the closeted bigot, right? He's one of the realists, right? But at some time or another, you know, it's okay. I mean, like, it's good that people can express and talk openly, and he's one that can talk open. He is self-made, and he's able to talk openly about the issue of black and white in this country, and racism and slavery. So let's listen to this real quick. Very important.
I think the thing is, had Mr. Kraft and Coach Belichick been wearing the hat, there might be a different story. They're kind of like behind the scenes, where a lot of prominent black athletes have to be behind the scenes with Mr. Farrakhan. That's what you have to do, because you remember they was trying to cancel folks this summer. You remember Deshaun Jackson, Skip? Howie Roseman and the owner called him in because he said something about what Mr. Farrakhan had said. You remember that? Now, Tom Brady, that ain't gonna ever happen to a white athlete.
Okay, I got it. But Mr. Farrakhan's views are obviously anti-Semitic.
What about President Trump? So anti-Semitic.
Okay, no, I got it. I'm just putting them in the same ballpark.
But my thing is, with President Trump, anti-black, anti-Semitic. So we gonna weigh more, one weighs more than the other.
We can't. And obviously, Minister Farrakhan's anti-white. Yeah. Okay, so but you can say they're the same.
People automatically assume he's anti-this when he's pro-black. No, I don't got to be against this if I'm for that. I'm for my people being educated. I'm for my people being prosperous. I'm for my people having rights and protection. That don't mean I'm against you having that. That means I just want that for my people, like you get that for yours.
I got it.
Right, but you know, over time, these people have heard that all before, right? But let's continue to be a free person in public on a platform that people watch. To be free to say what you need to say about the situations that afflict American black people in this country. Many black people are not free to speak that. And if you feel that you're not free, or if you speak it and you are rebuffed by Caucasians, then you know that those Caucasians are, what did we talk about earlier in the week? That invisible bigotry, invisible racism, and they should be handled. You know what my new slogan is when I run into people like that? My wife and I were out out at Target. We were at Target, and we were standing in line. Right? It was long lines because they had very few registers open. Social distancing. And so I don't really know how social distancing can really be effective, because you stand at six inches back, or 6 feet back. You said 6 feet back, but then when you move up, you're stepping into the muck of where that person was standing if they were coughing. And so it was this older white man. He had a mask on. He started coughing. I said, well, we're not going to go stay in line and walk right up into his muck. So we moved over to another line, all right? And we were standing there, and the way the line was, we were like in the clothing, kind of like in the clothing. So the cart was in the clothing, right? So this Karen comes up, and she steps into line, but she steps in front of us. And I'm like, excuse me. And now she's trying to ignore, and then my wife was like, excuse me. So, see, she saw me because I'm tall, but she didn't see my wife because my wife was kind of like back on the side of me. So she really didn't see her. So she was going to try to play a Karen role, and I was going to have to tell Karen, don't worry, there's not going to be any videotapes coming out to tape you, Karen, because I know that you're one of them bitches that used to get niggas lynched. There ain't going to be no lynching here today. So everybody put your cameras down, because this bitch don't even look like anything to be on camera in the first place, to be on camera with me. So, bitch, you going to just move out the way, get behind me, because I'm in line here. And we got any problems, ain't going to be no lynching there, because I tell you, look, I'm media, get me in contact with the sheriff. That's all I'm going to say. Now, but my wife was there, so we were like, excuse me. So she turned around and said, oh, I didn't see you. I said, yeah, we're in line. My wife said, yeah, we're in line here, so you need to step behind. And then, we come from Cleveland, Ohio, right? We come from Cleveland, Ohio, so we come different than most. Like, most here appear to be in a kumbaya moment. Oh, kumbaya, my love, kumbaya. We're automatically in it because we come from a segregated city where they drive in an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes back out, and longer during the winter to get to places and then go back out to the suburbs. So we know that there is nothing nice going on with the Caucasians. Nothing. So we don't come kumbaya. You got to move back. You got to move back to that. Oh, I didn't see you. My wife, she said, oh, I must have lost more weight than I thought I had. The woman got sourpuss. Oh, Karen got sourpuss, right? And then so she goes back there. So then another line opens, and she says, we'll take you, talking about my wife and I. So we go and get in line, and then, how we know, like, I don't be paying attention to the Karens, and I don't really pay attention to white women anyway, because, white women are too flat in all the wrong places and too fat in all the right places, and too fat in all the wrong places, right? They're too thin in all the wrong places, and they're too fat in all the wrong places. So I'll let you figure that out right there, right? So automatically, plus their faces don't look like anything. Black women are the best on the planet Earth. It's really not even a fair exchange when you really look at it. But that's just my opinion, my observation on it. That's how I live my life. You live your life the way you want to. Cool. Excuse me. You live your life the way you want to live your life. But, so we move over, and my wife notices that the woman didn't move over behind us because she felt shamed because she got served because it was forceful and direct. And no, we were in line. And because most people say, no, but you didn't see us, so it was a mistake. So yeah, you can feel free to stay there. Nah, ain't gonna happen. Cleveland, Ohio. Ain't gonna happen. Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the way it is. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. A lot. And you don't see it. You see it. I don't hang around those who would be coons, but before we sat down and started doing these platforms here, I was out in the public dealing with people, shooting people's different projects, and I would see how certain black people acted towards whites and then how they act towards each other. Very harsh towards each other, but very accommodating to the bigoted white. Not here. So for Shannon Sharpe to be able to be on television and speak this is a miraculous thing, but it has been done before and is nothing new. And because it's nothing new, we don't know why more people aren't willing to speak their piece. Anything that I say on this platform, I will say out front, right? Matter of fact, most of what I talk about on this platform. And if I get into one-on-one interpersonal situations with people, I will become even more concise and precise. Even worse. If you think this is bad here, if you think this is bad here, it gets worse. So let's continue on. Now this is what they're talking about is when Tom Brady took a picture with Donald Trump and how there was really no big upheaval, but when a black athlete talked about his admiration for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? I give Skip this. He pronounced Farrakhan's name correctly. He didn't say Farrakhan. For the insult, they always say Farrakhan, or it's Muslim, but they'll say Muslim. That's the insult, right? Or it's Islam, but they say Islam. Let's continue on.
Hey, look, man, you know why I'm called anti-Semitic? I don't hate Jewish people. What I hate is their inordinate control over the lives and the minds and the thinking and the speaking of black intellectuals. We got brilliant men that can't talk like men because they're afraid of tenure in some doggone college. They're afraid that somebody will pull a paycheck out from under them. How in the hell can you have a united front when your people are sold out to other forces that don't want no unity among us?
Cuban said from...
We're talking about grace today, right? Extending grace. Now, Tanya, can you really extend grace to Caucasians that have not apologized for what they've done, or they feel like they've never done anything wrong and they continue with the lies? Like anytime that you saw Biden, look, people dropped off. They didn't like seeing Farrakhan. He had that Farrakhan. It's Farrakhan. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They didn't like that. Oh my God. I'm just trying to get along. Can you really extend grace to a group of people who have not admitted to the wrong deeds? When you hear Biden talk about this country was built by immigrants, that is racist. Why did you vote for him? When Biden said, we play Martin Luther King every single morning on the show. Biden is not looking for you to extend grace to him because he doesn't believe that he has done anything wrong, because he is in that silent bigotry, that silent racism, and they know that you will vote for him because you never took the time to do the research. It's research. All it is research. So can we, in good conscience, Tanya, give grace to those that have not first admitted to their ill?
No, and it's high time that we realize that. It's getting to be where this is looking like some type of mental illness or something. This is not looking good here. We're not looking good because that's Class A narcissism. You know, you doing what you're doing, you have no remorse, and you know you did wrong. This subject has to come up behind your closed door meeting, and where somebody who might be a little more liberal might step up and say, well, you know, we need to be doing a little more for black people. Yeah, but, you know, this is when we run the risk of them taking over here and taking over there, and really the lesser of two evils is just to keep things how they are. You know, and you're being narcissistic about it, but then we gonna come along with our eye, we may as well be stepping fetching with our eyes buck, buck. We forgive you. See, and don't try to use religion. Christ said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, but these know what they're doing. This ain't the same. This is not the same scenario. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it with purpose. And so, extending grace, what we say extending grace for? It's either it is or it ain't. Either you're gonna make the decisions or you're not. Either you're gonna change the laws or you're not. What we need? What do we need to extend the grace for? Grace has run out. The grace, just like God, our grace is sufficient. The grace that we have already given you is sufficient for you to go do what needs to get done. Ain't no more extension. You will operate in where we stop right here and get things done.
It's just sad, and people out there. You know, did you see the guy that's running for it's either a city in Michigan that he's running for mayor, or he's running in Michigan to be governor. He's an African. See, black people better get ready. I mean, American black people, you better get ready, because you've been thinking that the African is your friend. And the African that comes over here is not your friend. They have been your friend for a while. They're coming to replace you. He says that when he gets in, he's going to end Black History Month for Michigan. So he must be running for governor. He's going to end Black History Month because it's unfair, untrue, etc., etc., etc. Have you seen this in the media? Did you miss that this week? That's what Freakin Friday is about. We're filling you in on things, but we're talking about extending grace. Can you extend grace to Africans who run from their condition? We didn't run from our condition. We had people that stood up and fought. There were, even though the people they were told that they would be fed at the end. They did sit at the lunch counters. They did take the abuse. They did take the water hoses. They did take the dogs. They did take the abuse, the black man standing there watching the black woman get abused by police, dogs, all that. They did take the abuse. We did stand in. I used to have this discussion with Franklin G. Rest in heaven, Franklin G. Franklin G was not all the way, he wasn't an American black. It was like both of his parents, their lineage came from Jamaica somehow, right? I never really got into it because, you know, I didn't care. But he would give big ups to, like, it takes a lot for an African to come over here, come from another land and come over here and make their businesses and things like that. So that's strength. I said, no, that's not strength. That's weakness. That's not strength. That is weakness. You didn't stay and fight it out in your country of your birth. These are all black countries. Though, you know, they are colonized and they're being recolonized again, and the black leaders, unlike the ones that were assassinated around the same time Martin Luther King was assassinated, are more figurehead-ish. I don't know, some might be coming out of that, others not so much. Or the other ones that weren't figurehead-ish, that were really Pan-African, they have aged out. They aged out. So when you see people that come over here and they're making dollars off of you, they are not your friends. They are trying to make dollars off of the American black, because they're not sitting down and talking about how to make your plight better, how to make sure that you get your reparations, because then they wouldn't be getting anything because they're not from America. Did you find that the dude from Michigan, is he running for mayor or is he running for governor?
He is running for governor.
Right. And what does he say in the article? He says that he's going to abolish, get rid of Black History Month. These are your people that you say you're African. I didn't know when you're leaving. They're coming over here. When you going over there?
He says it's offensive, unfair, maybe illegal. Americans from all backgrounds deserve a revered history. I'll declare American History Month. You know what? I'm looking at him, and he needs his butt kicked. That's what he needs.
This is what
you need.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Like I said, this is what you probably didn't hear in the news. Miss Ash said they treat us like we are not intelligent, and they low down on us, but hold Caucasians too, and they look down on us. I guess that's what you said. And they look down on us, but hold Caucasians to a higher standard. You know, that looking down, Miss Ash, is a defense mechanism. And that's why it's very important to have the vocabulary to be able to discuss and talk and be able to kick it with them. I remember this one guy, he would come over to the station, and so I took him to the side. I said, you're from Nigeria, right? He was like, yeah. And now listen, now peep game on this, right? He was trying to get his green card, right? So there was a woman there that I had never saw before outside. This is outside in the parking lot. It was right after Franklin and I had finished his show for that day, and we were going to go to the restaurant and get something to eat after the show and discuss, you know, future plans like we always did, which didn't come to full fruition because he passed on. And we were out in the parking lot, and the person so happened to pull up. So they were out there, they were talking. So, you know, me, I don't have any play in me, so I'm not trying to talk to anybody's woman. They don't have to worry about that with me. No matter what other type of business dealings I had with women, they can know that I'm not trying to talk to your woman. I got my woman, and you know, you got to hold on to yours, because there are men out there that make them simple. Every man out there trying to get some putty, you know what I mean? Since people are so upset with the word P-U-S-S-Y, I'll say putty. How they get the putty, they make the women simple. I take offense to women thinking that I'm simple, that I'm like everyone else. I'm not like everyone else. I got my woman. I got my wife. But anyway, so he introduced her as his wife. Now, she's about maybe 7, 8 months pregnant, belly way out there, right? Got her hair up in these twists, like long twists, right? And have it up like in a hold style with the bands or whatever. Maroon, burgundy. Let me just say burgundy. So he introduces her, and you know, I don't touch women at all. I used to try to do the high five, but I was went bowling one day, and the woman kept. I do high five, and she would go like this. I'm like, what the hell? I said, high five's not even foolproof with these hoes. Excuse me, with women who are hot in the pants. Let me rephrase. Women who are hot in the pants. Okay? So I'm sitting, so I'm standing there, and she's like, hi, how you know, she's long distance. I didn't even go high five, and then, because I checked her disposition. Her disposition was like, she saw me, and then next thing you know, she was choosing. Now, she's supposed to be married to this dude, helping him get his green card, no doubt, my opinion. She was American, and as far as I could tell, because her accent, she didn't have an accent. And she was like that, hi, how you doing? Smiling and stuff. I'm like, okay. I said, let me talk to you for a minute. I talked to him on the side. I said, yo, man, first of all, your wife is a hoe. No, I didn't say that. I asked him, I say, you're from Nigeria, right? King, he's King something, right? He sits on one of those stools out there in the dirt, you know, one of them stools. You know, they sit people in the stools. They give a lot of white people honorary kingdoms and feudal kingdoms in the stool out there in the mud, where there's no electric, and when it rains, it's mud huts and mud roads. But anyway, look. Aren't you glad that even in our worst conditions we don't have mud? Well, some people in Mississippi, but that was Mississippi. We're talking about once you get to the northern cities. There's no outages for long periods of time like in Nigeria city proper, where there is electricity. Why would you have to be there and there's outages for days? He's like, this is corrupt. That's what one of the Nigerians said on the videotape. This is corrupt. I'm going to be in this. But anyway. So I took him to the side. You're from Nigeria, right? I said, do Nigerians call American black people Akata? His eyes started shifting. Oh no! What do you mean, Akata? What do you mean? I said, you know, wild animal, wild cat, meaning that you have been away. You are Akata. You know, you are a cotton picker, Akata. No, we don't say that. There's a country. There's a province in Nigeria called Akata. There's a province in Nigeria called Akata. But no, we don't call Akata. Now, Franklin G is listening to the conversation on long distance, so he breaks the conversation up, because I was about to have him. You know, I was about to break it down, because he got real nervous. You know, he knows, even if he doesn't use it, he knows that people use it. These are the people who you go and buy their wares, and they say, these are katas. These are katas. You got to have the vocabulary to be able to talk to people, to ask them. Once you ask that question, they act nervous, you know not to give them your business. Right? But you should have stock in their demise. Either way, we talk about that on Stock Wednesday. You should have money in the commodities over there in Africa. You should have money in the oil over there in Africa. Have you picked up your stock yet? Because if they are successful or not, if it harms them or helps them, or it doesn't or it does, you should have stock in that, so it builds your portfolio so you don't have to worry about it, right? So Franklin broke it up and said, okay, it's time to go, because he knew that he was getting a little uncomfortable. He was getting antsy in the pants. I do not extend grace to those who are treacherous towards American black people. I don't extend grace. We're in a battle. We're in a situation here. We're in a situation here because it's going to be soon 402 years, and we haven't gotten our reparations yet. Only took the Jewish people between 95 years between World War I and World War II to get Jerusalem sanctioned and designated for them as a land body that Jewish people can go to. And we for some reason can't agree on our reparations. It's going to be 402 years, and I'm starting to think now that black people might be plunged back into another slavery situation. That God had, no matter what they have done, we have always pulled through and made it through and have been the culture. But now we have so squandered the ability of having grace. God has graced us with grace because of what has been done to us, that I believe that we are headed into something else because the deck is stacked now. They talked about the 300 a day migrants that's coming over here. Then they have the refugees. They talked about that in the news media. Have you been listening? Have you been watching the right news programs, not the talking heads? They're talking about bringing in the migrants. Even though we are in the middle of COVID, they're not checking the people who are coming across the border who are being let in. They're not checking them for COVID, but then they want they won't send the kids back to school because the teachers union wants this to be such and such, this, that away. They want us to have the fucking passport to say that we got the shot, but they don't care about the immigrants coming across the border. This is getting to be in a bad situation. We were telling people this is it. If they get enough people, they don't need your vote anymore. And if this is the time where grace is being taken away from black people, from American blacks, grace is being taken away because you did not. Many times in the Old Testament with the Hebrews, God would have to put them into bondage under people because they were disobedient. Let me say it again. Many times with the Hebrews, because they wouldn't listen, they had to be put in bondage under people. Now you got a buffer class coming in that's going to look more like you. You got this dude talking about he's going to abolish, he's an African. Whites are more friendly towards Africans because they are coons. Just to be my opinion, my observation.
Right.
If they elect him, he will be the first, and then what happens in one city starts to spread the rest because this is states' rights. You got to read, you got to understand states' rights. We may be looking at a situation where we are third, fourth class citizens in a slave action on us again by people who look like us. Because we were disobedient. Why would you vote for Biden? You're supposed to be a Christian. Oh, you don't want to listen to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said because you're a Christian. Oh, no, I'm black Jewish. I'm this, I'm that. But you're all just whip, whack, whack. As KRS One would say. I'm so-and-so. I'm this, I'm that. But you're all just whip, whack. We're looking at a situation where grace has been bestowed upon us by the Most High. No matter what they did, we kept on multiplying and building. But when it comes to people who look like us, there will be a buffer class. That's what's happening in Africa. They have people, they bring the Indians over there, they kind of look like black people over there, and the black Africans, they kind of look like them, but they're buffering for the Asians because they're South Asians, right? And they're buffering for the whites, right? They're the police force. Same thing. You know, remember the African in Minnesota who killed the white woman? They sent him away. Hey, he killed a black man. He would have got off like dude's gonna get off for killing George Floyd. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath on that. Don't get mad. Don't get out there. Don't let Antifa have a chance to be Negro whisperers and use you, because they're gonna find a way, a technicality to get that dude off. Just don't believe the hype. It's in the music. You know, Chuck D says, I got your back, because we're looking for the same thing. It's a new thing. Check out this I bring. You know, it's in the music, man. You gotta listen to the music. Right? Gotta listen to the music. Well, Sister Soldier says, black man, where's your army? Buck wilding. They want to leave you in a total state of aggravation. I get less aggravated. I used to be like, wow, this is crazy, man, you know. But I get less aggravated because I understand the game. But I'm like, where my situation comes in is I say, dang, how come people don't know this? They were kumbayaing, and now they're going to bring in a group of people to put you back into a 3rd and 4th, 5th class citizenship. And you're still 3/5 of a human being in the Constitution, so that still sticks. And being they have taken your set-asides and what you were supposed to have as a citizen of the United States, they could just take your citizenship and give it to those people who are coming in. And then what will you do? But you voted for Biden, right? Let's continue on with the video presentation.
Cuban said from experience the instinct when discussing race as a white person is to get defensive, but that must change to see progress made. So Shannon, do you find it difficult to discuss race with white people?
I do. Because Skip, if you talk all the way real about America and try to have an open and honest dialogue, conversation with white America, then it would go to it would tear down the very foundation, the very fabric in which they said America was built on. America was not built on freedom. America was built on racism. And the backbone, the lifeblood, the economy of America was built on the backs of slaves. That is fact. And racism is so ingrained in America because, Skip, from the very first time when you brought those slaves over in 1619, you had someone to look down on. You robbed him of his given name. You robbed him of his dignity. You robbed him of his humanity. You told him he was less than. You treated him as less than. And then somehow you say, what? That America is what? America is how? He never received that. You got 250 years of free labor. 250. Because, Skip, let me tell you how this works, Skip. When you hire someone to do something, either you can't do the job or you don't want to do the job. So which is it? So
either you can't do the job or you don't want to do the job. Either you can't do the job or you don't want to do the job. Let me tell you something. You know, they had been moved, like, now, when we first got here, before Trump got in office and instituted ICE, they used to have a lot of Mexicans working on the roads, right? Now they are closest as far as being able to take the heat, right? Take the heat of the sun. They're closest to us in that. Their melanin count is not as high, so you know they really can't take it as much as them. But they're close, right? So when they had road work, you know how road work would be here before all this was instituted. Road work they would have the cones to the side, right? And then at nighttime, they would put the cones out about like dusk, right? It was 5:30. I'm gonna say around 5:30. The cones go out, whether it was still light outside or dusk, if it was the fall. And most of the times they would be working in the summer, right? So they're working on the road. So they would have the job. They would have the part of the road they needed done, and then the cones and everything would be moved out the way for the next morning for people to have the main thoroughfare. Wherever you drove, that's how it would be. Once ICE got involved and they took the illegal aliens out, they started replacing them with Caucasian workers. Oh, well, the work wasn't done overnight. Well, the cones would still be up and they would still be working during the day. Fact. Now this isn't truth, because truth is relative to who says it. This is facts. This is facts. When you see it, the cones are still out there. When we first got here, the cones would be moved because they worked to get it done. And they're not as speedy as American blacks were to build the Capitol, to build the infrastructure, to build the railroads, to do all that. They're not as speedy as that. But they did get the work done so that the thoroughfare could be free, and then they could come back and fix the next part that they were going to do, and the cones would be put to the side, and then you could drive through without worry of having the sheet metal down to cover up holes that they had in there. Everything would be filled in. You see, they're trying to bring in the various immigrants of dark skin to try to replace you, the American black. They did it before. We play Martin Luther King every single morning to ingrain it into your head. The man knew what was happening. He said, I was wrong. I was right to get us free, but I was wrong in what we needed to have, and we needed to have economics to go along with that freedom. So we could be not in freedom, D-U-M-B, but be free, F-R-E-E. Right? So let's go on with what Shannon Sharpe is saying to Skip, who Skip's eyes is down, so he really doesn't want to hear this. You know, he's just going along with it because, you know, he lost one job from not keeping his word when Floyd Mayweather beat Pacquiao. The bet was that he was supposed to wear Floyd's stuff. And then he came out with it, but then took it off and threw it down. And then Stephen A. was like, don't ever have me bet with him again because he's not a man of his word. He's supposed to wear it during the whole show, but he didn't wear it. See, that's that white fragility that used to having your way. And his contract wasn't renewed, and they brought him over here to Undisputed, and Shannon Sharpe runs. There's no Vaseline. I'll say when Shannon Sharpe gets started, there's no Vaseline. And he has to take it or he won't be anywhere.
As America was thriving, who was doing the work? The workers. It wasn't you. Not only were they working in the field, they were taking care of your kids before they could take care of their own. So this notion that America, white people, we did all this. No, you didn't. Skip, and then you have to look. The greatest purveyor of racism and violence is the American white man.
The greatest purveyor of violence is the American white man. Can you only you know, only you can answer this for yourself. Can you get out there and talk that in front of your friends? You have friends, right? You have friends that aren't American black, right? Can you get out there and talk that in front of your friends, or do you feel, or do you have grace for them and feel compassion for them and they don't really want to hear it? you're helping to contribute to that silent bigotry and that silent racism. You got to be pounding this in their face every single day, because grace is starting to slip away, which means you're going to have to get out there and be in the battle now, or be spat on and then be grinding and be a coon in the house doing the buck dance. It's only two ways that it's going to be, because they took the skilled artists and they took the barn nigga away. And being that we know that the house nigga that was locked up then voted for the devil that locked him up, and the people in the house wanted to be with the devil, they voted for the devil that locked up the house niggas. So really, everybody's going to be buck dancing, because they took the skilled artisan away. What you got to say?
I'm seeing the mountain lion again. I'm seeing the mountain lion again. And the thing is, like the question that you just asked was a very important one. Can you get out there in front of your friends that are non-American black, they black people from other lands and not, and I have, I have a few friends that are from the islands, and I don't think I have any African friends. I got a few that's from different islands. And there's a mixed, I don't want to say reviews, but there's mixed, it's odd. It depends on what island that you're talking to the people from. But some of them are more in touch with what's going on here with us than others. And it's largely dependent on who settled their colonies, whether it was the French or the British. And that's really, I find that really interesting. It's just an observation that I made. Those that were settled by the French seem to be more in touch with us over here and what we're going through than the ones that were settled by the English or British colonies. So it's a very, it's just an observation that I made. So when you asked the question, it made me think the times that I've spoken about different things, but I'm always open to speak about whatever because I don't have any masks. See, what I've realized, and I've talked to a lot of people about this mask wearing, it's something that gets on my nerves. You know, wearing, you got a different mask for whatever group of people, you said that's too much work to be switching masks and flipping masks and changing costumes. That's too much work. This is not the theater. You know, that's too much work. I'm just going to be who I am. And you like, I'm not even asking you to like me. You can like me or not like me. I don't care. I don't have a need to be liked. And because I'm detached from people in that way, I say what I want to say. I say what is needful. I say what I feel needs to be said at that time. So it doesn't matter if you're black people from other places. I'm still going to identify with what's going on here. I can't identify with what's going on in your spot because I'm not from there. I have to identify with what's going on here. So if we don't stand up, I said it yesterday, if we don't stand up for our people, who's going to do it? It's always, you know, all the time that went by, you always got these sellouts. You got people, they opportunists and sellouts at the same time. They show up at everything, got something to say about everything, but then they'll turn around and say, well, he seemed to be very receptive to what we were talking about. Don't nobody care about who is receptive to what we're talking about. This is how you coming back to us. This is how you reporting back to us, coming back like with the one finger in church. What is that? I gotta go to the bathroom. And you sneaking out the church and with the one finger, you coming back into the crowd with the one finger. Talking about, well, they see with the buck eye. They seem very receptive about what we were talking about. They seem very receptive. Just be patient. We got some stuff, and we know we're not going to be able to get everything, but just be patient. We're going to get some things. Because he was very receptive to what we were talking about. I don't want to hear that. I would have been livid. If I had been in that crowd and he had to come out there and say that, I would have been livid out just like now. Who cares about him being receptive? I'm sure they're going to be, yeah, you were allowed to say something. And doesn't that equate to being receptive? You were allowed to say something.
Wait. We got a phone call. And they want to talk. 401.
All right.
401 wants to talk. Let's bring 401 up. 401, who are we speaking with?
My Crazy D, you are the best. Bless you and your channel. Have a great day.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the message. All right, Crazy D, you are the best. Rock this beat with the DMX. All right. It's okay. All right. How about that? They just wanted to send a quick message in and they wanted to talk. They wanted to say Crazy D. Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite hip-hop records, right? Is Davey DMX. One for the treble, two for the bass. Come on, Davey D, let's rock this place, right? And then they, he uses Run DMC, Sucker MCs, where Ron says, Dave to the record, Dave to the record, Dave to the record down, down to the bone. But I used to take that, I used to go, dun, 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 dun. One for the treble, two for the bass. Come on, Crazy D, let's rock this place. I'm going to listen to that on YouTube. I'll get off here. But you just get to that part where it say, Davey D, you are the best. Rock this beat with the DMX. But so I used to take that and say, Crazy D, you are the best. Rock this beat with the DMX. Because, cutting had advanced since that record came out. Cleveland was doing different cutting styles than New York. Or he was from London, I believe. But anyway, great record. Thank you for that. Hopefully I didn't step on that any. And I'll be able to grab that off of there. Crazy D, you are the best. Listening to your show. Okay, I like that. Thank you very much. That was nice. That made my day. How about that? Okay, anyway. So go ahead, Johnny.
Where did that call come from?
It came from 401, whatever that area code is. Look that up real quick. We'll know what area code that is. 401. 401. But go ahead while you're looking up and say what you want.
No, but I'm just saying, this don't nobody care about who was receptive. He was receptive that he just allowed you to say something. 401 is Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. We're all the way in Rhode Island. Shout out to Rhode Island, our listeners in Rhode Island. Yes. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're at a place now where do you think you're going to be silenced? Because your voice can only carry as much power as your purse string and all of that. So they're trying to eliminate all of that or trying to minimize all of that. And now they done brought in all these other voices from other places that look like you. They look like you, but they're not you. They're not touched with the feeling of your infirmity from the experience of this, what we have going on here. So, they're going to be talking, and this person here, if they allow him to do that, this governor, they need to really fight that, because he's got a lot of unmitigated gall to even say that. That is, and I'm looking his face. I could see it now. I could see him in a meeting with a bunch of white folks. I could see him with that stepping, fetching, grinning, looking like the first Aunt Jemima without a scarf on. Look at this. I wish I could post this picture. This look crazy. He looked. Somebody needs to say something about a breath of fresh air to Michigan.
Because, you know, they think that they're white, right? So they don't even consider themselves black. It's Black History Month, right? Because
exactly,
they're jealous. When you have, remember, this is very important. This is what you need to know. This is you need to put into your when you conversate with the people talking about they're looking down on you. As a defense mechanism on their part, because they know one that they sent the strongest and the brightest over. They only captured the strongest and the brightest, which what does that mean? What was left behind? What was left behind? They took the strongest and the brightest, so then what was left behind was easily colonized. The 388,000 that landed here, they mixed in with the people who were already here, were the best and the brightest that the Africans had to offer, right? Because that's what they took. They needed the strongest, they needed the brightest to be able to build. So what they left behind was those who could easily be colonized because they were not the strongest and the brightest. And so you have to understand that, and you have to ask them. I asked the same dude one other time, I say, because, you know, if you study Pan-Africanism, you know, if you study Pan-Africanism, you realize that, but if you're able to conversate with people on many different levels, on levels that they can't communicate. I say, what was your tribe? I asked God, what was your tribe before, you know, the colonization? He couldn't think of anything. He couldn't start the history until 1917 when they were colonized. 1917 when it was colonized. There's a whole other history of civilization in Africa before they were colonized. By whichever particular European came over there and colonized Nigeria. A couple of them did because they split them up by languages and color and everything else. You know, that's a MO of Caucasian. So look, you have to have the vocabulary, and then you just shut them down. You have to have the vocabulary and shut Caucasians down. Sit your ass down because y'all have not. Tell us one thing that you invented. Then they'll say, the car. Wrong. Black man invented that first. Sorry. Oh, the turntable tone arm. Nope. Sorry. Black man created that. Oh, the light bulb. No. Thomas Edison made a light bulb, kept blowing, but Lewis Latimer created the filament that made it long lasting. It's Lewis Latimer's light bulb that we burn. It's a black man's light bulb that we burn. Sorry, nope. So, Grace, you know, I had a friend since we were friends since we were 5 years old, right? And you never go into business with your friends. That's one thing. That's one thing I learned. You never go into business with your friends, and you never go into business necessarily with family. It's got to be tried and true on both ends before you do that. Because if you go into business with your cousins and shit, your cousins, they got another strain of Hi! They got another strain of blood. I always remember there's another strain of blood running through there. So, you know, it's crossing. One day your strain gonna be there, but the other day it'll be that nigga thing keep. But anyway, look. And then you got, when you do with friends got a whole different blood running through them, right? So, something fault happened, and I cut all of them. I cut all the people that I was involved with off, right? I cut them all off, right? Because I said that if you would do that, and especially you're my friend, but you sided with these people, that means that you are jealous. Now let's go back a little bit. So when I say that people are jealous, when I say that the African is jealous, that comes over here, that has to make their way and get you to buy their goods and wares, they are jealous of you because you have the money to buy their goods and wares. Right? Mm-hmm. They don't have the money to buy their goods and wares, or they will still be in Africa selling their goods and wares to their own people. Right? Mm-hmm. So let's go back a little bit. Okay, so I had split ways, right? But my friend, he was married, he had a mother and father. Very different relationship than my mother and father. My mother and father were in it to win it. We've shown you that picture before where they look like they were going to be the invading horde. Like what? Like what you doing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Very different relationship than what my parents had as a married couple, right? His father, like my mother and father made sure that both of us drove, made sure that we were upwardly mobile. We didn't have to depend on nobody else. My mother personally told me, I don't want you in the car with a bunch of 4 or 5 dudes in the car. And luckily, everybody at our high school, our senior year, starting the junior year to senior year, all of us had cars. So it would be 5 of us in 5 different cars rolling where we were going to be going. It was funny like that, right? But everybody's parents was probably the same thing. I don't want you in a car with 4 or 5 different people because people have something on them. They'll jump out the car and they'll leave that in there running from the cops, and then you'll get caught up and you'll go do the time, right? So, like I said, some fault happened, so we were split away. But let's rewind a little bit. His father was in the Shriner organization, Mason Shriner organization, right? And you know how you watch the commercials on television now, and you see the white Shriners, and they have the little crippled kids, and they're crippled. They have some surgeries. I mean, that's just the way we talked in the 90s, crippled. I know that's not politically correct, but that's the way it is. And so I will always ask, I say, how come the black organizations, because you know the black Shriners and the white Shriners were segregated, and the white Masons and the black Masons were segregated. And I always ask, how come, where is the black Shriners Hospital? Now, there is a black man in one of those commercials, but he joined the white organization to be in that commercial. He's not black Shriner or black Mason. And I would always ask and say, where are all of this dues, all of this is collecting, where is the hospitals? Where are the advancements for American black people through this? So I asked, so you know, I'm 19 years old, 19, 20 years old. So I asked his father about it. And so his father runs down the mumbo jumbo, but I had studied. I was over 33 1/3 because I was studying in Prince Hall and all that. The spook who sat outside the door and all that didn't really give him the pass code, so they gave him a book and he had to come back. But you had to research that for yourself. So working on it, we're rolling over 100 and some degrees at that time, 360 degrees now, right? So I asked him this question. I asked him that. He said, well, first of all, you have to be in the organization to even criticize. And that should just stick your heart like a knife. And I'm sitting up here like, okay, I read that in a book. That doesn't faze me. that was in a book about Prince Hall, and they didn't never tell him anything. And that was one of the slogans. So, I mean, I laughed. Now, my point on this. So after what happened, it was fall, and I just dropped everybody. I was doing music with. I dropped them. We was doing parties to produce music. I dropped all of them, right? I've done that quite a few times, right? But the last time something like that happened out here in Las Vegas, I decided to institute grace on the people and say they know not what they do. And something happened where my key broke off of my lock, and I was able to depend on one of the very people who had slighted me, and they were able to bring me back to my dwelling so I could get the key and get back. And because I stayed nice instead of cutting them off, I stayed nice because they were the ones that were in fault. But other than that, I would cut people off. But I worked in grace this time, right? But anyway, back to the story. So a couple of years had passed. So my aunt, now there were two different parties going on at this hotel. Now the other party was jumping, like, I mean, it was packed, and they had the DJ. The DJ was rocking. I probably knew him. If I could have walked in there, they probably would have got me in with my wife and stuff. Probably a lot of my customers were in there. We were over in the other room with this, I don't even think there was a DJ in there. If it was, he wasn't really doing anything. And it was the type of New Year's Eve party where people are creeping and they don't want to be seen. So it was like a doll stick in the mud. And my mother always said, don't deal with stick in the mud. But it was like real stick in the mud type shit. Who's sitting there but my ex-best friend's father? And who is he sitting there with? He's sitting there with another woman. He's not sitting there with his wife. So, you know me, like, it doesn't make a difference to me. I wouldn't go back and say nothing because there's a code. I wouldn't say nothing. None of my business. None of my business. But you talking about to be a man, you've got to do this, and that should cut your heart like a knife. He's sitting in there with this other woman, and so I try to make eye contact with him just to speak. You know, because it's none of my business. This man never makes eye contact, never looks in my direction purposefully, and I said, you are a nigger. Lost total respect for him right then, because if you're doing something and you're in the party that's supposed to be off in the cut, you might see anyone, but you didn't expect to see your son. He didn't know that his son and I were no longer on speaking terms. But if you were cool, you would just say, hey, what's up there? What's up there? How you doing? Yeah, you know. It could be your cousin or your aunt. Or I don't know who it is. I don't care. So shortly after that, he got up and left out because, you know, he was feeling uncomfortable, right? Because I was one of the type of people, I said, nah, if this dude, I'm going to go over there and say something. But then I said, nah, it ain't that important because he's already cheapened himself already by not being cool. Just being cool. Talking about to be a man and all that, right? So years pass and I'm in my store. And the dude kicks off and he crosses from this side of heaven to the other side of heaven, right? So his son comes up, you know, to tell me that his father had died. I guess because we had conversation before, and, you know, I never told him, and I never told him. It was none of his business, right? Or his dirty father, in my opinion. It's dirty, not to shit on the dead, but his dirty father was doing, right? But he comes up and he tells me his father's dying and he wants to break down and get consoled, right? And I couldn't have empathy because neither one of my parents had passed yet, so I couldn't have empathy. I didn't know what that felt like yet, right? And many people who were my main customers, when they would come in and say that their parents had died, I could feel sympathy for them because I considered my customers my family, because they constantly came and spent, and we would sit there and we would talk, and I would console them in their time of bereavement. But this dude was fault because of the treachery that had happened, and then his father was fault at the thing. I say the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So when he said that, I said, oh. And then, he straightened up because he was trying to tear up. He wanted consolement, and then to be consoled. Consolement, is that a word? But anyway, he wanted to be consoled. And so he left, and I thought nothing of it. Now, a few more years passed. We're out at Severance. Severance used to have a standalone movie theater because it used to be a mall, but then it became a strip mall, and they had a standalone theater, right? So, I'm always about my business. I look around, but, when I have my second set of eyes, my wife, my second set of eyes, I can be more leisurely because she's my second set of eyes. I can focus on what I'm doing, and she's my second set of eyes. So a person comes into the door. I see him in my peripheral, but I don't recognize who it is. The person, my wife says, looks and sees us and turns around and talks to the person who they were with and tells them, obviously, to leave because the person didn't come in with them, right? So the person comes in, and lo and behold, it was my ex-best friend since 5 years old. Now, my wife tells me this later in post that he had somebody with him, but he sent them away. Now, my question about that person, how that person would feel. Would you, ladies, would you still be with that person that sent you away because they saw somebody that they knew and they sent you away? Would you still mess with that person? Right? So we go see the movie, and he comes following me, my wife and I. We sit in a certain section. We always sit on the end. So he sat in front of us to discuss. It was the Spider-Man movie. It was the first Spider-Man movie, and he sat in front of us to discuss the movie like we were all going to the movies together. And then after the movie was over, he said, we need to do this more often. We need to do this more often. So then after we leave, my wife says he had somebody with him. Now, I haven't been in contact with this dude for about maybe 10 years. I don't know who his woman is. I don't give a fuck. But to send somebody away, that obviously you were, bottom line, the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. And if a person is like that, then they are not trustworthy to the person that their significant other. They're not trustworthy to the person who they're cheating with. They're not trustworthy to, obviously they wouldn't be trustworthy to family members. And obviously, most deaf, they can't be trustworthy to you. There is no grace extended to those who don't realize they're wrong. Very important that we go over this today. When you're dealing with the African that comes over here, there is no grace given to those who call you a kata. When you're dealing with the Caucasian over here where we built everything, there is no grace given to them. You don't get spat on and then here, let me give you my other two cheeks to rub up on. No, you don't do that. So, Freakin' Friday, extending grace. Oh, no. No, there's no grace to be extended. But I can tell you, I got better because I've always done what I've done, dropped people off and just kept on excelling and kept going. And like I excel now, right? But I extended grace because my wife told me this just recently. And that's why we had this discussion. To receive grace, you have to extend grace, right? To extend grace, you have to extend grace. So for the African to come over and be contemptuous of the American black that makes it possible for them to come over here and not extend grace to the American black, they don't get grace. For the white who came over here and who took the jobs away from blacks, and then to tell blacks they have to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, they don't extend grace and say, thank you, I know that what happened was wrong, and let's correct the wrong. They don't deserve grace. Extending grace. We're not going to be coons here just to get along. There is no extending grace. But the one time that I did extend grace, because I was still doing what I was doing, and I extended grace, and the person, really, the way that they slighted me, back in the day, I would have cut it, but I said, I'm going to extend grace. And when I extended grace, when the time came when I needed something, because I wasn't mean mugging the person all the time, and I forgave the person their transgressions, and I gave them grace, they were willing to then do a solid for me. And so, you take that how you will. You take it how you will. I'm going to let you speak in a second. You take that how you will, but extending grace, and after the slight, the person did act cool because I didn't act irrational, or not irrational, but irritated. So they acted cool. So when the time came, they were able to do the solid because I extended grace. But you can't extend grace for those who don't even act like they're in regret. You can't extend grace to those people. What do you gotta say?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of digressing back to that individual, your former best friend, I ran into that individual years later as well. And this is where your mindset will take you in life. Your mindset will take you places in life that are inferior, if you will. Because I ran into him in a store with a whole bunch of kids. I don't know if they were all his children, but he was with this woman that had a whole bunch of kids, and they were putting something in layaway at the store, or getting some out of layaway or something like that. And he looked totally miserable. A woman was not polished. She didn't have, I'm not saying she could have been in some sweats and a t-shirt, but had your face beat, had your hair done. You understand what I'm saying? If you're not cute, have your face beat. If you're cute, just a little liner and some lip gloss. You know what I'm saying? But she was looking like a career recipient of services, of public services. And he had on this t-shirt that was dingy. Most brothers, they wear a white tee. Their tee is white. This tee had been washed in the washer and was dingy, and he wasn't clean shaven. And it was disturbing to see, having known that young man from a little boy. It was very disturbing to see, because his sisters, they turned out all right. You know what I mean? But, this is what you have when you have jealous mindset, and when your jealousies cause you to cross the wrong people. It comes back at you in life. It comes back, you sowing and reaping, seed time and harvest is a universal law. Whether you are a Christian or not, or whatever, it's a universal law, and it reigns upon every man. God reigns upon the just and the unjust. So seed time and harvest will always remain. And the seeds you sow, you reap. But as for the forgiveness and the, Dee is absolutely right about that. There are some people, they'll do something to you, and it's out of ignorance, and they go home and they think about it, and they be like, man, I shouldn't have did that. And so when they get an opportunity to do well a second time around, they'll do right by you the second time around. Then you got those people. It's not that, you can forgive people from a distance and never deal with them again. I forgive you because I realize you're ignorant and you don't understand things, but I choose not to deal with you. I have a lot of people like that. I forgive you, but you stay over there and I'll stay over here. Because I'm not going to give you the opportunity to slap me in my face the second time. I only got 2 cheeks, and I don't feel like getting another one slapped. You slap me in the one, I already know what you're about. It depends on the nature of the offense. I already know how deep your roots go, depending on the nature of the offense. And then I'll forgive you because I choose to, and it heals me to forgive you, but I'm not going to deal with you no more. You stay over there because it's going to be healthy for both of us if you stay over there and I stay over here. So, but yeah, forgiveness is something that we do have to be mindful that people, if they're more in their human flesh and more cognizant or more given to that they're subject to more error, more human error. If they walk more in the spirit, they're subject to less human error. So, yeah.
Yeah, people. So, this has been, we took it on a different vein today as far as Freakin Friday is concerned. Freakin Friday, extending grace. We took it on a different level. Alita Stoker says, I will forgive you, but I'm never dealing with you so you can hurt me again. That is true, right? That is true. So listen, people, we took this on a different wavelength today because it's very important. It's very important to have the vocabulary so that you're not caught flat-footed. It's just like playing sports. So you're not caught flat-footed when Jordan comes around and dunks on you, and you may even block Jordan like Kobe has done. He was never caught flat-footed. Or you're not caught flat-footed like, what's his name? When he said he was going to be able to take Kobe to the hole. He used to play with LeBron. I can't think of his name right now, but Kobe just stopped him, shut him down with the defense. He was caught flat-footed. He wasn't prepared. You have to have the vocabulary so you're not caught flat-footed. Irvin, or whatever his name is. Kyrie Irvin, that's right. He was caught flat-footed. He thought he knew Kobe, but he didn't know. Right? So, you have to have the vocabulary. You have to know what to say and when to say, and you have to know the situations of what we're dealing with. So all week, these 5 shows in particular deal with various subjects that connect together with each other that are very important. You can go back and watch these 5 shows or listen on Stitcher, on TuneIn, or Google Podcasts, or we're on iHeartRadio, y'all. Just go to Google search, type in hashtag you found the spot. You see the whole website .net, but you just type in you found the spot. And when you click it, you'll be able to choose which podcast provider you want to listen to us through and listen back to these shows, because these shows this week in particular are very, very important to having the vocabulary to be able to speak versus those who are out to see you be a third and fourth class citizen. And today we went with extending grace. And what's the difference between extending grace and being a coon? Very important that you know that, right? So we appreciate you tuning in and watching us Monday through Friday. We come on Monday through Friday, hashtag observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. This Sunday is What's the Point at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. That's my sister's show. You can also hear it on the previously talked about podcast providers, right? Later in the evening at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern is the flagship, the show that began it all. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live, the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. It's myself, Crazy D, and my wife Tracy, and we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society on a podcast called Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. This Sunday, you have to tune in because it's part 2 of Black Essential Docs and films that deal with the music, the message in the music, and how the music has always pushed American blacks through, how the message, how the struggle is in it. We're going from 1969 all the way up till today. We deal with documentaries and we deal with films that give you perspective on that. We're connecting the dots. A lot of people have Black History Month programming, but they're not connecting the dots. We connect the dots on hashtag TFR Podcast Live like we connect the dots on hashtag Observations TFR. So we appreciate you tuning in and watching us, and we will see you on Monday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on another great episode of hashtag Observations TFR.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe. Community, heart,
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.